You're listening to Zoom the TBT with Charge and Hayner.
Back in the lab with my man Charge. This is Zoom the TBT presented by Charge and Hayner. I know that music kind of gets me hype. How you feeling tonight, Charge?
I'm feeling good. A lot of activity in the TBT world this last week or two. So looking forward to getting into it, breaking down some regions, and kind of planting some seeds on some things.
Yeah, definitely. And it's really early in the process, so we're not too worried about like this being perfect. We're just trying to drive some conversation, let some teams know where we think they lie. A lot to go. And obviously we have the chats open. We're on Twitter, we're on YouTube and Facebook tonight. So hit us up. We have the chat open. So you have questions. We gave some selected possible guests some call-in numbers. So we're going to take some people in here. We're having some fun tonight. So Charles, let's get into this. It's been a while, so let's get cooking. Okay, so first things first, let's talk about these regions. And right there, we're going to get into this a little bit tonight because it's a pretty big deal. So we've got obviously the regions we knew about. This is the whole board looking at this. You've got New Mexico, Wichita, Omaha, Dayton, Xavier, West Virginia, Syracuse, and to be determined. Now, Charge, we're smart guys. Now, what do I do for a living, Charge? What's my job? You know that by now. What's my job? You should know this. Oh, my God. You're killing me here. I'm an architect. I'm an architect.
No, I knew that. I'm just kind of.
I know it's fine. It's like
wondering.
The reason I ask. That's fine. It's fine.
What a great show. What a great start.
I know we're great start. I asked you a question about prepping you. What a jackass producer move that is. No. So I'm a New York architect, which means I can look up permits. Why is that important? So we did a little bit of digging. There's been a rumor about maybe it's going somewhere. So I did some digging. We're talking about some possible things. Could be at Philly. Could be in Baltimore. Could be in Record Park. So public records are a wonderful thing. We were able to find that there's actually an open application into New York City parks to play this at record. You can see right there on the slide, if you're looking, I'll actually make it a little bigger just for this. You can actually, whoops, that's not it. This is it, yeah. So you can see right there, there is an application in New York City parks to play in this event, 7/14 to 7/20. So what that means is that there is an open application. Now, we're not blowing up their spot. They haven't announced anything yet. And to be clear, Charge, as a deniability, they could have applied to many different cities. We're not thinking that it has to mean it is in New York City. It's not what we're saying, but they are considering it. So we're going to operate under the assumption tonight they're playing in Rucker Park because of this open permit application. So first of all, Charge, how would you feel about an event in Rucker Park?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, you got the permits there you're looking at, so it kind of solidifies it a little bit more that it's a very, very strong possibility. But it has been one of the worst kept secrets in TBT for quite some time now. We were hearing that buzz at the tail end of TBT 2021, and it looks like it's strongly leaning that way. I haven't really been a fan of the outdoor situation kind of from day one. I think it's cool. It's iconic. I think it's going to get some buzz, and that's what TBT is great at, is creating excitement and being different and doing something a little different. However, I think the big questions, and you heard Marcus Keene say on one of our previous shows, there's no way he's playing outdoors, and we've heard
he said no fucking way.
Yeah. So a little more direct, and we've heard that from many other teams that they're, especially some of these early guys, there's just no way they're going to be playing outdoors. So we thought there may be a chance of putting down a floor, whatever the case it is, but it looks like all signs are pointing towards outdoors, just as it stands.
And we'll see what happens. It could be a great event. So we'll see what happens. But it would be really interesting to have it be outdoors. I'm a New Yorker. I live here. I love it. It's a historic park. It'd be a great event. I am a little concerned. Maybe I put down wood and cushion it a little bit. It could really be a fantabulous thing. So I can't wait to see if this develops. And again, part of the reason maybe they haven't announced yet is they're still working through logistics. I know New York City's COVID rules were tight for a while. I know there's some things that were going on with that as well. So the absolute reality of this is that it's still very much in flux. They very well might not be coming here, but there is an open application. So it is now something that we're going to operate on the assumption this may be where they're coming to my hometown. It's a 50-minute train ride from this apartment right to Rucker. I can get there like this. Okay, but let's enough. Let's get to the teams though. Enough of that, because that's just a possibility. So talk about the host real quick. So these are obviously the teams that have the honor of hosting. These are some great teams. This was already known, so we won't spend too much time on here. Going back to that, though, it is just because people are listening to this as opposed to watching it. It's the Blue Crew, Zip 'em Up, The Enchantment, Red Scare, Aftershocks, Bayheims, Best Virginia. Heard that What do all these teams share, Charge?
You're going to stump me again. What do all these teams? They're the host teams.
They're all alumni teams. All alums.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I see that.
So all alums.
Yeah.
And then looking at the regions here. So Omaha will play Wichita. Xavier will play the to be determined / possibly Rucker one. Dayton, West Virginia, Syracuse, New Mexico. And we're trying to figure out travel plans what we're going to cover this summer. So I think that Cincy region looks like a lot of fun. That may be where we end up.
Real good.
It's an easy one for both of us to get to due to cheap flights and you're being an Ohio boy, but we'll figure it out. So we did go ahead and start ranking the teams. So much like a traditional March Madness show, we'll go ahead and give you our stab at number ones. Now,
let me give you a few stats. Let me give you a few stats before we jump in there. I've seen how the start of this show, I've been a train wreck and blank twice. So I do have my notes on this, but so far 58 teams have applied to TBT 2022. So if you go out to the tournament.com website, you can see all the teams out there who's applied. TBT also released 32 teams are in the TBT 2022 today via Twitter. And so that includes 30 auto bids. Obviously, all 32 winners got a invite. However, the 23 and Heartfire merge takes one of those away, and TMT is still not showing on their so they won last year, but they're going to be a lock. And then you throw in the Enchantment being a host and Natty accepted. So there's your 32 teams that are in. So it makes it a little easier to kind of plug and play some of these things. And that Cincinnati thing is going to be really wild. And then of that, 41 of the 58 applied to a region. So 17 people are holding out, trying to do a little gamesmanship. They probably know where they want to go, just don't want to announce it yet, or they're truly searching to see which regions look a little bit softer. So we do have quite a few teams that have not declared where they are going as of yet. So and no surprise, the mystery region / Rucker, no one's applied to that one yet. So we'll have some fun plugging some teams in there as we hit the next slide.
We took some guesses, though, and we were pretty proud of our guesses there on that. Okay, so right to this, we're going to go ahead and go into our preseason number ones. We changed a few around. The big story for me is Charge did let me kind of seed the mystery region because we were kind of on time. Charge did seed most of them. I think it'd be a great narrative to give the underdogs who are always underseeded a chance to be a top seed for a change. So we actually went ahead and rolled with them as the 1 seed in the Rucker regional, which would be pretty hilarious. I bet they're willing to play there. I mean, underdogs would love to play outdoors. They'd probably want to go. And they might be the best team in that region. So it'd be a pretty interesting change from a perennial 8 to 16 seed going up to a 1 seed. So Charge, if you're betting, which 1 seed scares you the most besides the defending champs? Let's leave them out of it.
Yeah, out of what we have sitting here, obviously, I think Florida TNT, I was real high on those guys last year. They backed it up. They came in confident. They brought a solid squad, and I think they're going to be equally as good this year, if not better. I could probably go through the whole list, but Hines is always a wild card. They have access to a ton of talent. I think they're going to do some exciting things this year. So those two really stick out, not to discount Golden Eagles, especially Eberline's been in the mix before, but TNT and Hines being not alumni teams, I think they can get real creative with their rosters and have the ability to do so and pull in some great talent.
I agree with you that TNT's, to me at this point, the one I fear most of the 1 seeds. I think they're all really good. I will say the teams that I think are primed for a minor setback. And by the way, by minor, I mean like not being so dominant they crush everybody in the region. They're still going to be good. I think Eberline with the possibility of having some coaching upheaval, because keep in mind, Cody Topper has changed schools, which means he has to go through getting the compliance department at LSU to give them the same approval Memphis did, which might be a bit of a dicey thing. So they might have to have a coaching situation there. Which if they keep Cody, they'll be fine, but that's a question mark. And also Boeheim's, a lot of their core players have gotten older. Devo is a great player. He's a little older. Leiden's a little older. So what happens with refreshing that core? They've been cheating Father Time for a long time. This event. Will the age finally catch up with the defending champs? Again, both teams.
But they're not really the core anymore, though. So you're assuming they are the core, which they are not the core. So we have the grad transfers that are the core.
The grad transfers.
So you're gonna just get some orange around them to keep it that color. And but they got a new core they're happy with.
No, fair enough. But I mean, they still have to have the core guys. Okay, on that point, then let's get into the straight regions. Let's start talking about this. So In Omaha, again, we already mentioned Team Hines is the number 1 seed. We talked about that. Also, this will be a trend too. As the money involved in this event gets higher and higher, if you saw the state of the TBT show, you can see that Team Hines is a great team, but there's talking about a lot of teams merging. And I've heard rumors of not one, but 2 separate teams think they might be involved with merging of Hines. So it seems like there's some volatility in the stock that is Team Hines. Have you heard the same things, George?
Yeah, I think this year, and we'll talk about it with another team, I think this year is going to be the year of merge and sponsorships. I think Boeheim's Army kind of set the tone to what's involved to put together a winner and to put the best talent on the floor. And I think other teams are seeing that and evolving to that, both from a sponsorship and money side of it and obviously the talent side of it. You got to bring a very, very good team here if you're going to legit compete for the 1 million. I mean, some people, obviously, everyone thinks they're going to take the floor and win, and some people are going to have some fun, and some alumni are going to get back together. But if you're not coming with the best of the best, it's going to be a tough run for you.
Absolutely. We have them as their first opponent being the Crew, which is the Valpo alum. That could be a pretty interesting matchup. I would expect Hines to make short work of them, but you never know in these events. The host we gave, this is, I believe, the lowest seed we gave to a primary host, which is the 4 seed Omaha Blue Crew. Not a thing about them being a bad team, just the depth of the field, obviously. And they might play a team in the 5 seed of a team like House of Pain. Now, House of Pain may have some defections as an issue because there's been a hints at many places that Mike Dahm is the free agent du jour. May 3rd is signing day, which a lot of teams will be able to announce some players they may have signed. Doesn't mean there won't be moves after that, but it's a big tentpole mention for roster going. So just having them drop after the upset and also maybe losing Mike Dahm, is that a very volatile team, you think? Like a team like House of Pain? Like not much is known about what they're doing yet still, correct?
Yeah, I mean, obviously a lot hinges on Dom, how good they're going to be. Brandon Paul, if he comes back, he played with Hines the prior year, ran with House of Pain last year. Took their loss. So I think it's going to be very dependent. And for Omaha, I took a lot of the people who played in Illinois last year, pushed them over to Omaha. But I'd love to see if Illinois, goes over to Dayton. It looks like we're going to have some good alumni teams at Dayton. I think they would fit in pretty well over there. So this one here, I'm not sure where they're going. So Omaha for now. But I think they're going to be a team that can be hit or miss.
They're just going to shove all the Big Ten teams together. Okay, so Charge, our 3-6 matchup will be Always Us versus Always a Brave, the Always matchup. What are your thoughts on that one?
Yeah, I mean, a couple teams I discounted last year, Always a Brave, I always discount them, and they always surprise me. And Wichita, I gave no chance last year, and obviously they performed well. But, that Always Us team, solid. I think they're going to make another good run this year, and it'll be a fun matchup. If Always a Brave can go on the road and, surprise some folks, that'd be fun to see.
Absolutely. And then finally in this version, we would have a Heartfire and Team 23 combo team versus Overtime Elite. Now, first of all, I'm not as familiar with Overtime Elite as some people. Do you want to comment? I believe it's the one where it's the, what do you call it? It's the junior league. It's the guys who would leave high school still get paid. Correct?
Yeah, I don't know them as well as I should. Probably should have done a little more research on this one, but I didn't. But we're hearing that they're in very, very good likelihood that they're the buy-in team out here in Omaha. And obviously that makes sense with the size and the branding of Overtime Elite. So it'd be interesting to see what guys they bring on the roster. If it's going to be, obviously a young core, could have some really high-level folks that are, rising the ranks. But we'll see how that goes. And then the Heartfire 23 collaboration, obviously 23 made their big run, and they don't get any worse by merging with Heartfire and combining resources there. So expect them to make another good run this year.
Absolutely. It should be interesting too, because I mean, we were kind of sad. I was kind of sad to hear 23 is merging, but I think in a way that could be a really strong team because Heartfire always has a quality squad, and 23 fell a Sykes prayer away from winning the million last year. So they would enter the field as a huge, like one of the favorites to win the whole thing if they can get those teams merged seamlessly. So almost a good start to the whole process. And also Peoria and Illinois we have on the bubble. Some teams are real quality, especially shout out to Illinois last year for stepping up for the cursed thing that was Tubby time. They couldn't even show up. So you'll never hear anything but Tubby hate from this corner. So the reality is Illinois stepping up and being great was always a fantastic thing. And pure All-Stars are tough teams. These are teams that are on deck that obviously, as the field matures, these are teams that are willing to come and play and they deserve that level of respect. Okay, on the Xavier, which is the only region that's not
Omaha. Just a reminder on that one. I am surprised the amount of interest people have in going to Omaha. I thought there was going to be little interest in this one because it's kind of that funky region where you're going to play in week 1, and then you're going to have to go home, then fly to Wichita for the quarterfinal matchup, and then on to Dayton after that. So this one's kind of a surprise from a logistical standpoint. I didn't think there was going to be a ton of interest in this region, but I mean, you're getting some of the top kind of non-alumni teams showing interest, and obviously it's going to have some good alumni fields. So I thought this was going to be one of the weaker regions, but stepping up and probably going to be one of the stronger ones after all said and done.
Yeah, it totally makes sense. I mean, well, the thing about having 8 teams is all of them end up kind of strong, because the reality is that what ends up happening is they all get some strong teams because they want to spread out a little bit. They do a pretty good job. They have in years past of weighing these things. That's always a nice thing. Okay, on to Xavier. I believe it's the only region that isn't named after a city or state. It's just named after a school.
I think they got to rename that to Cincy. I was thinking of that today. Cincinnati's coming with the heat with their squad, the Nasty Natty, and I mean Xavier obviously hosting it. But yeah, they got to rebrand this thing to the Cincy region. But I'm sure Xavier's going to have something to say about that. But this year is definitely the most exciting region in all of TBT right now.
And I think we'll end up there. It should be a lot of fun. Okay, so the first matchup would be Florida TNT as a 1 seed versus the Volunteers, the team that will not be named. TNT obviously is a 1 seed that went deep last year. Great squad. Terry Hughes always loads up that squad, and they're going to be a contender this year. And I hate Tennessee, so I really think that I will put a bounty immediately again on. So Terry, if this was a matchup, I will be putting a bounty on the Volunteers again. It's not even a problem. And you know they won't win a couple games, because how many times has the Volunteers been to a Final Four in their history? 0. They've never made a Final Four. Tennessee has never made a Final Four. Now, this is a fun one for people who are into the fisticuffs. We decided in charge did a good job here. The money team versus About Billions, the Adrian team. I mean, that could be an interesting, fun social media matchup.
Yeah, this whole region, not only talent upon talent, but some of the storylines with the crosstown shootout, the rivalry with Xavier and Natty. But then you got Floyd Mayweather and Adrian Broner. Broner's a Cincinnati guy, and Jordan Crawford's from Cincy. That's why I predicted he would be here, and looks like that's going to be the case. And so, that's definitely going to be a first round matchup. About Billions, I thought was going to buy in last year. They did not. And this year, I still show that Xavier is open as a buy-in. So I think they're going to, base it on the talent. And obviously, if Broner gets very involved with the team and hypes the team, then they're probably a lock in here. But I think About Billions is going to be in one way or the other, whether it's via Broner support. He was on the show with Inside TBT, our friends from Inside TBT last year. So he did get involved a little bit last year. But you got to see this matchup.
Wasn't he like doing that show from a bed or something?
I think so. Yeah, he was lounged out.
I mean, that's casual, man. That's casual.
He didn't get in, but he was very confident About Billions was going to mess some teams up. So we'll see this year. Another opportunity.
On the right side, the 3-6 matchup, Zip 'em Up and the Nasty Natty. Now, this is the matchup of the first round I think I might be most excited about in the entire bracket.
Oh, yeah. Oh, this is going to be crazy. And I'm definitely going to be in Cincinnati. I know we're still working on some logistics, but it's the closest one to my house, and I would not miss this matchup for anything. And the thing is originally before I started to see what other teams were shuffling in here, I'm thinking to myself, well, let's try to get each one of them a win and play in round 2, but it's too deep. You can't take the chance. So you're getting this matchup round 1. Really any of these top 4 seeds, you can intermix them, but the matchups are going to come into play. TBT is going to give us the cool matchups like they always do. But this one's going to be fun. So do not miss it. This is going to be the game of the TBT without a doubt.
Definitely the first round.
First round.
Their game, yeah.
All TBT games of all time. This game will be crazy. And then obviously to zip them up, their seed could change very much on free agent signing day. So you saw they put Mike Dahm up there as the prize coveted free agent on signing day. And I mean, everything's pointed to this for a long, long time. Right off the bat when JP was teammates with Dom, and I saw that on social media. I'm like, man, if these two team up, it could be over. So Zip 'em Up's going to be real solid, and I truly think they get Dom in the free agent market.
So what's funny about the whole thing too is I think we exist in this weird part between fans and journalism in the sense that we take our job seriously to be impartial when we can, but like we're still fans of players and teams, and that's how we enter this. You're the G League guy, I'm the college guy, and I will root against rivals. So if this game happens, which I think it will, I will show up in press row in a Zip 'em Up t-shirt because I hate Cincinnati. I'm a Memphis fan. They just took one of our former players as a grad transfer, which is just infuriating. I mean, by the way, no hatred to the kid. Kids, to be very clear, college kids should go wherever they want. They're not being paid by the schools. They have complete freedom. I wish them well. I hope every game besides the conference games we play against him, he does well. But I hope we whip his ass when we play Cincinnati. I mean, it was just crazy. Why do you go to rival? There's like 360 programs in D1. You pick like one of the 3 schools that's going to piss off your former school. It's just insane. But whatever. That should be an interesting game. And Cincy and Xavier are just insane fan bases. So that's going to be an absolute horror show to watch. I can't wait. So Silent Cancer is a 2 versus Cat 7 is a 7, or Cat 5 is a 7. That'd be a fun game. I mean, like, I think Sideline could win that. Sideline's loading up. They're really getting their roster together. They're going to have a strong roster as always, and they have shot makers, and they have like a really cohesive way of playing, a real program. But Cat 5 came out strong last year for an early win. So
yeah, they're not a 7. It's just that's just the way the matchups got to play in this one. I mean, that's ridiculous. I mean, if these 8 teams are truly going to Cincinnati like we believe they are, I mean, that is just ridiculous. Just shows you how quick and how fast these kind of 8-team regions can fill up. But Cat 5 can win the whole thing. I mean, you saw them last year. If they come back a little stronger this year, they got a good roster. I mean, they're already building their roster and making their announcements. I love teams that do that are ahead of the game, getting their people locked in and not scrambling at the end. And Cat 5's all over their team right now and is going to be good again. So, if this truly ends up being a 2 versus 7, it's probably going to be one of the strongest 2 versus 7s you've ever seen in your life in the TBT. Same thing with that 1-8 TNT versus Volunteer is ridiculous too.
So I was looking at the flights there, and one of the flights would mean I would miss a first-round game. I'm going to pay extra to get the flight to make sure I get there for every game in the first round. There's no way. If I come to Cincy, which is the plan as of now, I'm not missing 1 minute of this. This is going to be – I think the entertainment value will be off the charts in Cincy.
Yeah, get your tickets.
Get your tickets. Yeah, as we pimp the event. Get your tickets now. Hoops for ALSF is a really good squad. We have them as on the bubble. Good time to mention we're putting teams on the bubble in regions, but the bubble is flat in the sense you can go to different regions where you think there's room. The to be determined region might have room. You want to look at places you can go. So Hoops for LSF might not make Cincy. They might make a different region. So keep in mind the bubble is very flexible. If you see a region that looks as stacked as Cincy, perhaps pack and go somewhere else. That's the advice as always from these humble chairs we sit in. Okay, New Mexico going west. Now we're talking about this. First seed would be Everline Drive versus the Kimchi Express. Kimchi is one of my favorite programs. It'd be a great matchup. I would love to see this year. It's the little team that made good Neverline. That's always been a really good squad, but might have a coaching change. Not because Cody doesn't want to coach, because of the issue with the compliance situation with LSU. I mean, I can't imagine LSU's compliance situation is any better than Memphis because they both have NCAA problems right now in a big way. Whereas Kimchi's the team that has the story, has never quite made good, but always comes to fight. This would be a dream first round matchup, I think, for both teams. So that'd be a lot of fun. And then you have a 4-5. This would be interesting. Now, Challenge ALS always comes to that narrative as the 4. Challenge ALS is a 4 against a team like Ram Up as a 5. That would be a really interesting matchup. I mean, where do you see that game going if that were to be a matchup?
Yeah, I mean, Colorado State had, going to have some good momentum, and we'll talk about some other teams from the NCAAs this year that, had good NCAA seasons and can leverage that fan support and excitement into it. And ALS is due for a breakout season. They had some, good players last year that unfortunately jumped ship at the last minute to some other teams. And, hey, that's going to happen. But I think this year they'll kind of have a little better idea going in who's committed, who's not. And I think ALS is due for a really, really nice run, well-respected program, playing for a good cause. And obviously if ALS is going to have the talent, they should run through, their first-round matchup. They'll be seated in the top 4 for sure, just based on history and the names that are going to be on the roster. But, it's going to be fun. I love seeing some of these new alumni teams and what they bring to the table.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because the Ram It Up team from CSU could be real interesting because one, the Mountain West is an extended conference. Like the conference really improved this year. Boise was good until Memphis whipped their ass. Colorado State was good this year. They have a pretty good conference coming up. San Diego State's always good. So the reality is that's a good conference, but first-time alumni teams always tend to struggle. So a veteran team that has a program like ALS versus a Ram team might be a bit of an issue for Ram, but I expect a really strong showing. Also, the idea of having this in New Mexico is just fantastic. Like if I wasn't going to Cincy, Albuquerque would be my second choice for the first weekend because I would love to go to the Pit. It's a historic venue, be a lot of fun. So I think that would be a pretty cool place to go. So that's going to be a fun venue. Okay, 3 seed. We've got on the 3 seed, we've got the Cheaters, the LA Cheaters versus the Fort Hood Wounded Warriors.
Yeah, this one's going to be fun. Obviously, the Cheaters comes up with some really good talent every year. And Fort Hood, like I said, this may fill out a little bit, but these guys can ball. So you got Seth Brooks back leading that team. They put in some they do have a TBT win. They put up some really good fights in the past. Didn't get in last year, unfortunately. But, I know they're committed. They're reliable, and that speaks volumes for the TBT and how they make their decisions. So we'll see how many teams end up flowing out west towards New Mexico. But I think right now they got a pretty legit shot to get in based on what we see today and, kind of where people are committed to today. Could change in a hurry if teams see openings and think they can run through a region, but we'll wait and see.
And also the thing that's really cool about the Fort Hood Wounded Warriors is they might have the one player that unites our fan bases because DJ Steffens was a commit to Fort Hood before, who is a Memphis alum and also a Charge alum. Hopefully DJ ends up on Fort Hood or at least on some team in this event this time. That'd be great to see him in this event. Looking ahead again, the Enchantment, the host, is a 2 seed versus the alumni from New Mexico State who are trying to enter our team for the first time. Obviously, riding the good vibes from the tournament win they just had. This would be obviously a grudge match. That'd be kind of a fun game, a state battle, which would be a lot of fun. So, Charles, what do you think about this region? I mean, is there a team you're really excited that you think could really develop as a contender out of this region?
I think the Enchantment's that team. Obviously, we have our good friends from Eberline. I had the Enchantment beating Eberline last year. Unfortunately, from my bracket standpoint, got dinged on it. But if Enchantment was at home at the Pit last year, there's no way they lose the game they lost last year. They just ran out of steam and, didn't quite have the depth in their roster. I think their roster is going to be even better this year. Obviously, second year TBT, you always learn about what went right, what went wrong. And so I think Enchantment has a really good shot at running through here. And then obviously, Eberline and Cheaters, I mean, they're going to show up with some of the best rosters in the business. So any one of those teams get hot and they can do it. But I'm really interested to see what Enchantment can do at home. And we know those hometown crowds can really propel a team to go a little bit deeper than normal.
100%. Also, looking at the next up, the bubble, you've got the West Coast Ronin and the Let It Fly from Eastern Washington. I'm not sure the stats of West Coast. Obviously, our friend of the pod and also one of our stringers last year who helped us write, Alan Cunahan, runs West Coast, so maybe they're in, maybe they're out. They might be running again. Great guy, great program, historic. They've been in the TBT multiple years. They're a team that will be a factor if they decide to run. And I don't think Let It Fly has been in yet. They've tried a couple times. They may be a factor. We'll see. Okay, the mystery region. Now, this we're thinking is Rucker, and we seeded it as such. Now, Charge didn't even see these seedings.
I did not have the strength to even try. I parked them all and said just drop them on a slide, Hainer. But Hainer insisted that we give everybody watching, the 10s and 15s of you watching, the pleasure of seeing the mystery region rank. So here you go.
Now, we went with narrative, too. So a couple of things about the mystery region. We are thinking it is Rucker. We are thinking it's outdoors, which means some teams will not want to play. So if you're a team that really wants to get in the event and you're willing to play anyone, it's put up or shut up time. If you're willing to go anywhere and play anyone, I have an offer for you. So let's assume what happens. So we decided to give the Jackson, Tennessee underdogs the 1 seed. They're usually an 8 seed, but we're like, look, they're probably willing to play anywhere. I mean, a lot of these guys don't play professionally. And they've made good with numerous wins in this event. They would be a natural choice for an event at Rucker versus the Billy Hoyle team, which is a rumored team. Charge, who is Billy Hoyle?
Yeah, so Billy Hoyle, obviously, white men can't jump. So this was teased a couple years ago. as a possibility. And I know if this team forms, there's probably a few irons in the fire, so I'm not sure, the leadership over here, which way they're going to take their team. I expect them to be involved with TBT in one way or another, but I have to assume if it's Rucker, like we all believe it is, that the GM will chase this down and try to make this team work in Rucker. It's just a no-brainer. So follow them on Twitter, see if any breaking news comes out, but it'll be interesting. It'll be fun, and the team always shows up and plays really hard too, so it's not going to be just a gimmick team. It's going to be a team that can play hard.
Yeah, it's a veteran GM who wants to run this. So a guy always runs good teams. So if they come, they'll come to play. Okay, speaking of play anyone, anywhere, the primetime players, the lords of semi-pro basketball, the gods of the Eastern Carolina leagues, would be a natural fit for this event. Against the Ace League, this is the Orlando Pro-Am All-Stars with our old friend from the pod, Brent Jackson, is already committed to that team.
Yeah.
So that'd be a fun semi-pro pro-am vibe for this sort of an event, and a credible matchup in the second round against the winner of the Dogs and the Billy Hoyle.
Yeah, no, I think this one here, as we put these teams into the mystery region, I think that's what we're looking for, is kind of some of these pro-am leagues, some people who are just real gritty, some folks that may not have as much overseas or professional experience, but that's the kind of brand that we think would fit really good in Rutgers. So both these teams, prime time. Obviously, Chris knows how to run a team, and he'll show up and do well. And then the Orlando guys, obviously, that's Mo Spates running that, so they got some big name over there. And Magic Juan is going to be involved with this team, from what I understand.
Oh, he is. That's fantastic.
He's the king of Orlando, man. Central Florida basketball. The guy's everywhere. So, and obviously, he's been on our show with the handicapping side of it many a time. So, if he's involved, it's going to be good. Mo Spates involved, it's going to be good. And I think they land here in the mystery region for sure.
Okay. So, Autism Army thought would be a good fit here. And Charge, this would be an interesting cause game. Autism Army versus the Defeat Diabetes team. So that could be cause versus cause. Just a natural matchup. Some teams that don't have a natural home base to go to.
Yeah, Autism had some East Coast connections in the past, so I think some of that kind of plays into it, playing a little bit closer to home than where I think they were Wichita or Peoria last year. I can't remember which one, but I think this could be a little bit closer to home, another gritty team, and then Defeat Diabetes is organized and really, really nice. So I know they got some good leadership there, some good boosters. Their rosters are already pretty much set, which I think speaks volumes for a team this early in the process to get on the radar. And so should be a good time.
Yeah, we're putting a question up right now. Is your team willing to play at the Rucker? Tell us in the comments and the things. I'm really curious how people, if they are willing to play out here. Rounding out the field, Brotherly Love, which is one of the teams we've also heard a rumor. I believe they are one of the teams that might consider merging. So we're putting him here as a parking spot. Syracuse would be their natural home due to the history they have with Syracuse, but that'd be an interesting place to play them. And a 7th seed of the Norman Gretty Saints. The Philly kids would get to play the Philly kids. It make a lot of sense. Philly on Philly matchup. And again, Philly kids are tough. They're willing to play anywhere. So it makes a lot of sense to have them in a region where they would actually be able to play each other. So you have a fairly strong and fun field, despite the fact it's not necessarily going to have a lot of the European professionals. So would this be a fun event, you think, as structured?
I think it's going to be a fun event no matter what. I mean, I think people are going to come out of the woodwork and get down to Rutgers, watch some great basketball. Because at the end of the day, basketball is basketball, hardwood or outdoors, and these teams are going to be outstanding. I think a lot of questions around the Big Five, which we haven't talked about. In the Philadelphia angle, Brotherly Love, what they decide to do, and so there's a lot of questions around teams and the mystery region where it's been hard to predict. But I mean, these teams would have a lot of fun there and play their hearts out, and I think it's going to have a real special vibe to it. So I know stigma is a lot of guys won't play outdoors, but I think the team that do take the chance and go out there, it's going to be a pretty special event, and it's going to pay for them.
Absolutely, it should be a lot of fun. I think TBT should make this a really special thing too. Really make it a big deal. Really make like you win the Rucker Championship, like have a separate trophy. Really incentivize it as an event, something maybe they get a cut of money. They make it something that's like a big deal. Team DRC and Oversea Fits, couple teams we think might be good fits for this event as well. They didn't have a natural other place to go. Okay, to a more traditional meeting in Wichita, going from the concrete back to the hardwood. The Charles Koch Center. Obviously, the host would be the 1 seed Aftershocks. We have them playing SCD Hoops, which is a cause team to fight sickle cell disease. That'd be a fun matchup. They were credible last year in their first event. So we're talking about a team that could be a really good early matchup. Your 4-5 gets even more interesting. So purple and black, we're not sure they're running. But again, it's close to home. It's a natural place for them to play against. We are D3. We're both D3 alums. We love the program. Is this the year that D3 breaks through and gets a win?
Actually, I just lost my screen. Hang on. Yes, they do. I think so. I think Wichita, the way it ships up right now, and D3 is getting better and better every single year, getting more talent on their roster. So I do believe they are going to win. Purple and Black says they are absolutely in according to their Twitter. So they've updated their Twitter to Purple and Black 2022. So they're definitely on the radar. They played last year. They played most other years. So they'll definitely get in. But I think we are D3's poised for a breakout this year. So
I really do as well. I really do. I think the shooting they're going to have, I think it's time. I think we're get through. Okay, your 3-6 matchup, the Battle of the Hats, I guess. We're talking about a couple teams that are pretty interesting. You've got the Stillwater Stars, a Big 12 big hat battle, and we love our hats here. Stillwater Stars, last time we saw them, I believe they're losing by approximately a pistol shrimp size score to Eberline Drive. I believe they're still counting how many points Eberline scored in that game.
Yeah, it
against
was like the tote board. It was the tote board telethon. They just kept running it up and running it up. It was bad. After a very good comeback win, so they went from 1 high to 1 low in 24 hours. It was bad.
Yeah. It's the nature of the event.
I enjoyed every minute of it. I'm not going to lie. I'm not a big Stillwater fan, so
don't hate.
I enjoyed the whooping that Everline put on.
Oh, great! Now we're gonna have a hard time getting them on as a guest. Thanks, man. No, they're pretty funny. They're good guys. But yeah, it was interesting. Now, Fort Worth Funk, interesting thing. TCU had a nice little run in this year's tournament. They played really hard their game, showed a lot of guts. So maybe they can build on that. We know the coach Neil Lallion's bringing on a really good roster. So, and plus, again, this is my favorite new logo from the last 2 years because all I can think about is how that looks like a pimp's hat. I love it. It is my favorite logo. So. The Fort Worth Funk.
I'm a big Fort Worth Funk fan too. I hope they, if this matchup happens, Fort Worth is winning, keep it rolling. But can't wait to see that game.
Yeah, I mean it's going to be a lot of fun. And your 2 seed, our friends of the pod, Team Arkansas versus the rebranded Utah Valor as the Redeem Team. Redeem Team at 7 versus Team Arkansas 2. What are you thinking here?
I don't even know. I just want Redeem Team to get in someday again. It truly is the hardest working team in the TBT. I mean, they got some decent talent. I think they could put a scare into some people if not win a game. And Arkansas has been hit or miss over the years, so maybe it's Team Arkansas. So obviously, I think Arkansas is going to come back strong. They should have Barford back, and everything should align nicely. But Arkansas is due. These guys are too talented not to. I guess this question is will we see something different from Ja'Cory Williams on signing day? Maybe not. But her dad obviously probably has the hand up in that one still.
At this point, I'm wondering how much cash people can figure out with this stuff. At this point, like how much can you offer the grad transfer NILs? How much can you do at this point? Like, has the NIL come to TBT basically?
The reality of this is on the next up on the bubble. Forces of Soul was in last year, so they probably get in before Redeem. Locos was in the Final Four fan vote last year, so they probably get in before Redeem. But I just had to put my guys up there. I'm pulling for Redeem Team, so we'll see how it goes. And I'm too blind to see that other logo right now, so you have to call that one out, Hainer.
We have a vol. I'm looking at the Twitter accounts. We're talking about this. The Brooklyn Vultures have said, "Hell yeah, we'll play it, Rucker. The B or the D train. Pause. will take us right there." Yeah, the B or D train from Brooklyn will get you somewhere, and it'll take some time. What a slow train, but yeah, it's a way to go. I mean, like you can definitely. So we got one team is one to go. So if you're listening, TBT things, the Vultures will play on the hard court, so they're set. So take them in, I guess. So let's do it. Yeah, the Force of Soul got in. That was a fun story. I think the other two alumni teams there, USCB and North Texas, are really stretching the idea of how big a fan base has to be to get in. Like there are going to be more alumni teams as this becomes a thing. Do those fan bases have enough of a following to push their narratives, to push their following enough to make it worthwhile? And that's I think North Texas is a team that's really going to stretch this concept. That's not an insult to them. They have a good program. They're a fun school. But now we're at the cut line of those schools like that, Georgia State, where it's like, how big is the fan base? Can they?
Yeah, and we've seen a lot of those teams get snubbed. James Madison's tried to get into TBT before breaking in last year and put on the show. So did that open up the door to take a little more chances on some smaller alumni teams? Maybe not. But yeah, these are teams that it's a risky move. But if they show up with the right fans and the right team, it's good for TBT.
I will say this too. It also makes you wonder about where the regions are chosen. So, for example, if this was being held in Fort Worth, then a North Texas team makes a lot more sense than if it's been Wichita, Kansas, right? Because, for example, the closer you are to your fan base, you might get some casual ticket sales, correct? That usually helps a lot. Okay, moving along, we've got the Syracuse Regional. Obviously, the defending champs, Boeheim's Army would be a 1 seed. We have them playing India Rising as an 8 seed. Now, I am fascinated by the concept of India Rising. I think that'd be a fantastic idea. People don't know this. My partner's actually an Indian American. She's from India. So I told her this and she's like, oh, that'd be really interesting, actually. So this team could have a really good narrative. It's the second largest country in the world. You got to think they can find 10 good ballers in the second largest country in the world, right? It's got to happen.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, for a simple logo, I think it's kind of cool. I love their logo, and not confirmed. I think this is a buy-in team just based on everything that I know. This one here has not been that this one has been bought up, and obviously got a really good bump from TBT. Being the first all-Indian team, so TBT is behind this team early. So leads me to believe it's going to be a buy-in team, and looking forward to see what talent comes together because it's going to be fun. It, as we mentioned, Forces of Soul last year put a scare into Boeheim, so this year is going to be India Rising put into scare into Boeheim, so on their home court.
Yeah, I mean, it would really be interesting to see like if they can actually put a scare. So the 4-5 game, I'll let you really talk about this. A 4 seed in brown and white versus the 5 seed expats. Now this is kind of your wheelhouse. So I'll let you roll here. Brown and white expats, hit it.
Yeah, I mean, they're just both really good teams. Expats barely got in last year, but I really like their team. I think they're a solid team. Some of this is matchup driven, in regards to how this is seeding out. But Brown and White, I think, is going to get a much bigger fan base to travel out and support them in Syracuse. So they'll stay in New York, not too far of a drive from Olean to Syracuse. So I think they're going to get a little more support locally. And then the expats, I think, very good, well-organized team. Good coach, good GM. So expats is legit. I don't think these guys are even a bubble conversation this year. I think they're solidly in after last year and performing well last year.
I can't wait to see it. It looks like there will be a very strong program. Okay, now this makes me a little sad, and I'll let you rant about it. So Friday Beers, which was the Armored Athlete team, still is, in fact, versus the Nerd team. So first of all, the Nerd team, I'll briefly talk about that. I am a nerd, so I'll talk about that. The Nerd team's a great concept, all these really nerdy schools, and having just based around the fact, hey, we're brainy, but we can play ball. So I love the concept. I love the logo. I love everything about it. Charge, discuss your thoughts on the Friday Beers.
I'm excited for the team formerly known as Armored Athlete, because obviously we're talking about sponsorships. It's things got to evolve. The team's got to evolve. But, without the name Armored Athlete, it is kind of sad. Can I even say it's a lifestyle anymore? Did we have to throw that to the side? And, I can't remember what Friday Beers is. I didn't know what they were because I'm old and not real hip until I looked it up. But is there going to be another catchphrase, another logo? I don't know. But obviously AJ, Jess, I mean, they got an army of great folks behind them now. They got a big sponsor behind them. So this team's only going to get better. So this may be the year that Armored Athlete / Friday Beers makes their deepest run in a long time, because the team's going to be good, the support's going to be good, and if they have that little bit of sponsorship to push them over the top, then that could be a win. But yeah, it's a little sad. It's kind of like when Everline switched to Stickmen to 1 year. It's like, oh man, it's not Everline anymore. I just don't know. This one here, same thing. Armored Athlete switching to Friday Beers. I don't know. I'm old school. I like tradition, and I'm going to still call it Armored Athlete as much as I can. It is still a lifestyle to me, and can't wait to see Jess out there again this year taking care of business, AJ out there taking care of business, Brian out there taking care of business. There's just a lot of good folks on Armored Athlete that whatever you guys want to call yourself, I don't care, but you're Armored Athlete to me, and I think you guys are going to make a great run this year.
Yeah, we're definitely going to have to touch on this on one of our longer sort of format shows about what the deal with sponsorship versus your narrative or your character or the brand you've achieved, what that balance is going to be. Also, the thing about Friday Beers is because they also have a sponsor that's investing money in a team by all accounts. They're also coming up in conversations with some of the sort of merger thing. Now, we're not going to announce anything here. I will say this, though, as the guy who put the slides together, there are at least 2 teams in these slides that we don't think are going to run, actually, that we have them in the bracket because they're good teams. And it's still a chance they'll run. So until we know for sure they're not running, but there are at least 2 teams that are probably not going to go. And that becomes the mergers and acquisition things. We saw that starting with Team 23. I mean, I don't know how you go from the final, literally needing a prayer to lose, to combining teams. It does speak a lot to the amount of money you need to compete in these events. So Friday Beers, Armored Athlete, Hybrid is making a decision they have to make to survive in this market. It's a very interesting thing that's going to play out as this cycle develops in TBT. And we have to kind of touch on that a little bit. But yeah, I think it's going to be really interesting. It's still a lifestyle, I think, honestly. It really still is.
I hope so. We'll see. We'll see. But
okay, so this will be interesting. This would be a great matchup. A 2 seed in Blue Collar U, the Buffalo alum, versus a 7 seed. I can put both hands up in Peacock Nation. Now, Blue Collar U, I was in Columbus. You couldn't make the trip last year, but you live about 5 minutes away, so screw you. I'm kidding. But the point being is I was there to watch them put those hard hats on and go nuts. So they have a history of being a big upset team, and they face nothing but the biggest upset team, the first 15 seed to go to the Elite Eight in Peacock Nation. So this could be a really fun grinders matchup. Charge, would this be Cinderella fighting each other with like a mirrored glass slipper? Like, what would this mean?
Now, Blue Collar routes them is what it means. It's my hometown team. I grew up in Buffalo, and I picked against them last year because there's that stigma that first-year alumni teams struggle, but Blue Collar showed no signs of struggle. I mean, they just really played well together. Physical team. I mean, just high capabilities on that team, and Peacock's going to be a first-year team, so I'm going to say, oh, yeah, the first-year team's going to struggle a little bit, but I just think Blue Collar U every single game, there was no absolutely no – I was just laughing at that. Oh, God.
Patience, Dot. We're going to have more more content.
But yeah, Blue Collar runs away with it, and the same thing. They're going to have a great crowd coming from Buffalo over to Syracuse, and it's going to be fun. And Buffalo is not too cold to live in. There may be way too much snow to live in, so that's why in Ohio, I don't get 13 feet of snow in a week or something crazy. I still got a lot of family up there, so I deal with it. But no, Blue Collar U is gonna have a really good run this year if they put a couple different pieces out for last year's team. Then I think AA and Boeheims are going to have their hands full.
Yeah. By the way, don't worry, we have some content coming up, and I don't think you're going to like it. So anyway.
He would expect nothing less in this.
He would expect nothing less from us, yeah. So this is probably the most crowded bubble.
But I could put in the chat confirm if he's got Ja'Cory Williams or not. So you gonna break the news, or we stuck till signing day?
They're always till signing day. We're not breaking news guys, which is fine. We're narrative guys. We're not the breaking news guys. It's totally fine. This is the most crowded bubble of any of the regions. And it has a team that got in last year. We put mental toughness on the bubble. Now, this is one of our toughest cuts. We think mental toughness actually probably finds a way to wiggle in somewhere. Maybe not Syracuse. What's interesting, y'all giving Corey away again or something. Nah, we're going to do something worse. Mental toughness definitely has a chance to get in. Haul in, if they're really well run, could get in. The Brooklyn Vultures, we have them in Syracuse. They've already just said on Twitter they're willing to go to the Mystery Region. So I think any team willing to go to Rucker has a shot. The Big Five, the Philly team, we don't know enough about them yet. They're definitely a really high-quality squad.
I have to assume there's some 20th and only flavor here, which was just criminal that they got snubbed last year. I'm still heartbroken on that. I was very high on 20th and only. So I think some of those guys, obviously, logical fit here. If something breaks up with brotherly love, I think some of those guys end up here. But Big Five, they're guaranteeing a loaded roster. So something to watch out for. So if that's the case, I mean, that's where you really got to decide with kind of an unbranded, highly talented roster or a first-year kind of smaller alumni team like Peacock Nation. So those are the decisions TBT is going to have to make through those two.
And I think some other regions might have some weaker spots. I think there's some teams in this one that could really get in somewhere else.
Yeah, because mental toughness deserves to be in. It's just when you look at the teams who have applied here so far, it's tough to say yes. But I mean, they showed last year they're a good team. They're flexible to move. So I mean, they very well could end up at the mystery Rucker region.
So I absolutely love Philly as a city. I think it's a great city. Like a lot of New Yorkers don't. I love Philadelphia, but I've always wondered why Drexel Linders make it a Big Six, because the Drexel Dragons are a credible program too. I've never really understood that. So I always wonder about why it's not just the Big Six, but that's probably a Philly thing.
I've never wondered that in my life. So
you never what?
Wondered that myself. So that's why you're a college basketball fan guy, and whether they're 6 or 5, who knows? Good for you.
Are you giving Corey away or something? No.
Yeah. That's the word on the street, They're going to Corey.
We are not giving Corey. The answer is no. We're not doing that today. Okay. Hey, West Virginia. He wanted odd content. We're getting odd content. Here we go. Okay. So the more well-known West Virginia team, the best Virginia team, would be the 1 seed against a very credible, a rematch from last year. We'll see this a little bit in this region. Woco Showtime. They came within this much of staging a great comeback last year. They were down a lot of the game. They came back. They charged. They played hard. I think that game would be credible as a great matchup. Very entertaining style of basketball Woco plays. They play loose. They play fast. This would be a fun matchup to go. And also saying going ahead, this is one of the regions we're thinking of making our second weekend. So you and I were talking about maybe going to West Virginia after Cincy. So this would be a place we might find ourselves. So Woco's fun though, right?
Oh yeah, no. Like I said, they've always been fun, and even when it was, all about the popcorn and just kind of those guys who fought hard and didn't get their first win for a while, and then kind of blended in with that Wofford team, and these guys are going to compete, and I mean they show they can go toe to toe with anybody. So looking forward to those guys again.
Definitely. Okay, so here's your odd content. We dropped Herd down to a 4 seed.
This new format we have this year is so good, but yet distracting. So will Team 23 be Mr. West Virginia? Absolutely not.
We're by the way, for people who are listening to this on the actual podcast, the graphic shows, will Team 23 be missed in West Virginia? I think Mike Iliano will not be missed in there. No.
Yeah, no, they got his picture up at the border. He's not allowed.
Do not allow this man in. Okay, so heard that playing one of our favorite teams in the whole thing, D2. Worth mentioning is D2 is a 5 seed. Worth mentioning that Grant became the head coach of his D2 program.
Yeah,
he was the lead assistant, and now he is the head coach because his former boss took the Milwaukee job, a D1 job. So Grant is now the head coach of Queen's University, which is very, very, very cool. So they come to play hard. They're a complete nightmare matchup. We did no favors. We underseeded them. So We underseeded you.
A little bit of that obviously is last year's performance wasn't what they expected it to be, and then obviously we got to line up that West Virginia, heard that matchup at some point, and if I do that like I did, then obviously D2 they love playing anybody anytime, and heard that's always got a target on their back, fun team, but everyone wants to play them and see what they can do against them. So I did the 1-4 there just to get that West Virginia, heard that action going, and I am a little disappointed though. I keep seeing all these pictures of Charleston and his brother John on all these big billboards. So where in the heck is Odd? If they put Odd on the billboard, things change in a hurry. I mean, the stadium is filled, the people come out of the woodwork. I mean, it's just a different game. So I just don't know how I got snubbed twice based on my number 4 seed, and not being on the billboards is just horrible decision by TBT to not put Odd on there.
Odd sells tickets. Odd is box office. Odd has told us now he's officially boycotting the show, currently underseeded, as you can see in the chat. Actually, this is a fair question, though.
Well, let's see what the 2 and 3 are, though.
But he actually has a fair. So he put this in. This is actually useful in the chat. So he says last year's performance wasn't expected. We played the second best team to a 1-point game with 3 chances to win. What more could you ask for? And the answer is actually it's a fair thing, because keep in mind they played Team 23 to a virtual draw. And Team 23 ended up almost winning the whole damn thing. So Odd's got a fair point. They played the runner-up as close as anyone. So this is less an underseed and more, in fact, the region's just an absolute mess. Also, we're trying to guarantee a West Virginia heard that thing. Seeding also does come into the fact that that we're trying to get some matchups here, obviously. Okay, so Dickie V War Ready. Now Herd's really mad because he wants to be the 3 seed because that's a great matchup. So Dickie V was Jimmy V. They won their first win last year, usually fronted by Tyler Joan. Alex and Vinny are friends of the program. We fully expect Vinny to fly to West Virginia just on the strength of his ears, a la Dumbo. Great team, always the solid team. Versus, what do you want to call War Ready at this point? Perennial underachiever?
What the interesting thing here is, as me and Hayner were talking earlier today, is there could be a scenario where War Ready's not a lock, in my opinion. And Hayner's always been tough on Matt and War Ready. So we've always kind of gone down that path that Hayner's like, I don't know about War Ready. I'm like, they're good. They have a great fan base, but they're not very close to West Virginia. They didn't draw many fans to West Virginia last year. So if this thing starts to fill up and other teams start migrating here, it's going to really put the squeeze on War Ready. So they're going to have to really show up. Obviously, they have one of the bigger fan bases. They're pretty engaged on social media. I still think they're very, very likely in, but I think there's a scenario where if things really heat up here and more teams get in, usually there's about 110 teams that apply to TBT. We only have 58 now. I think there's a scenario where they really got to think about it. Obviously their full roster's not there, so if they get Jared Harper, did they get a Bryce Brown, things of that nature could really change the tune on that. But it should be interesting. And then Vinny and his squad there, they've got access to a lot of good talent. And, to be honest with you, and obviously no Vinny, I would probably have heard that as the 3, Vinny as the 4, but I needed the matchup. So I'd have had to bump down 1 to get my matchup guaranteed. Yep. So that's the way that kind of shows out. But you believe War Ready is still a lock after picking on Matt for 2 straight years. You're saying they're still a lock.
Oh, I know. I think their fan base makes them a lock. And the reality is, like, I am hard on War Ready because I love the program. I want them to win. You're hard on people you love. Matt does a wonderful job of marketing. He's very engaged. He's a good member of the TBT community. So the fact I'm so hard on them is I'm always rooting for them to be better. And it's insanely frustrating with the quality of teams they've had and the way they play that they laid 2 straight eggs. Like, I think they're better than this, and I've been saying they're better the last 2 years. I've been proven wrong. Now I'm saying they're not that good. I'm hoping that just the reverse jinx works. So to describe War Ready in 1 word, I'm thinking underwhelming. What do you got?
I don't even know. This is a team. I want them to win so bad. This is a team I really, really want to see win, and we'll see where it goes. So I'm not going to get pinned into 1 word, but I'm hopeful for War Ready that this is their year.
Zoom the TBT, terrible, terrible. Charles Barkley voice. Love it, love it. We'll get you on again, Ott. You can yell us in person. Trust me. Okay, so finishing this bracket, 2 and 7. This is a great understoried matchup. ETSU, the Buccaneers, who won big last year, playing pressing, playing aggressive. A lot of fun to watch. Meriwether and those guys are a great team. And then Founding Fathers, they had a great storyline. They came and they took a great team and sideline down to the wire as a 16. So this could be an understoried, really powerful way to end the weekend. This is a great bracket. I'm really thinking this is where I'm going to go after Cincy.
Yeah, I mean, the bracket in whole is great, and I mean, there's still going to be a couple teams that could slide in or out. But once again, I don't know how you make an argument for any of these teams really sliding out of this 8 unless there's just something really big in there. And I think it's on the bubble, but I'm hearing the Webb, the Richmond guys are going to be back in West Virginia this year. So if they start coming back, then that's going to be a really good thing as well from a competitive standpoint. But obviously, I think the Webb's got to slide in somewhere. They played really well the last time where they were there down in VCU land. So if they come out and have the same team, if not better, they're gonna need to get slid in somewhere. So where it is, and then like I said, that Eastern Tennessee team was just crazy last year. Fun team to watch. They made it to the 16, and usually seeding goes a little bit on history and recent history. So. I got them as the 2 based on some of their performance last year.
Got it. Yeah, yeah. And talking about bubble too, the Webb, Virginia Dream, Hickory Hoya, some credible teams in case one of these teams has financial problems. I would love to see some of these teams. Yeah, broad hint. I would love to see some of these teams get in. I think this will be a pretty fun place to go. This is the teams we actually have, I think, had on the show the most. So we kind of know each. We have a connection to almost every one of these teams on some like social media or personal level. So this would be a fun region for us to go to.
Yeah, I should have just rated out a little bit higher. He was nice enough to give us a ride to the Wendy's and back last year, seeing us schmucks walking down the street in Charleston after the Chipotle was closed. So appreciate the ride out. Maybe if he paid, then I would have given him a 2 seed. But we do appreciate you and definitely the ride last year.
You cheap bastard! If you had paid, it's fucking Wendy's. What is wrong with you? It's Wendy's. So you would have paid. You cheap bastard. One region to go. You cheap bastard. Okay, Dayton. So we put Golden Eagles as the 1 seed playing the Mid-American community. You can be bought cheap too. Oh my God, you can be bought real cheap. So the Golden Eagles as a 1 seed versus Mid-American Unity. That's your guys. Talk about the Canton Bulldogs.
Yeah, I mean, this one here obviously hasn't had a lot of luck recently. Lost that heartbreaker to the Red Scare. I think this is a team that could be very much on the bubble, could be knocked out if they don't come with the full show this year. I'm obviously pulling for them. Most of the guys are from Northeast Ohio that are going to play, coach, boost this team. So really – pulling for those, but they've been getting tough matchups because they've yet to break through in recent years. Their last win was against Wisconsin a 3 years back or so, and so they keep getting tough draws against some of the number 1, number 2 seeds. So it's going to be a tough run for them. I think they get in with the strength of Romeo Travis probably being involved with the team. LeBron James possibly supporting them, to hope that he supports them at some point. So they'll get in, but they're going to have another tough run just by history.
It's just in the chat, just saying strange things. I raised a good point. We're going back to him for a minute. He is engaging. He said, we beat the 2 and 3 seeds by 10 plus, West Virginia by 5 plus. We should be number 1. And they just says, out, which is perfect. That's fantastic. So yeah, it's pretty funny. So yeah, I mean, hopefully Mid-American can get one of these wins. That'd be a fun thing because Golden Eagles are kind of an interloper in this region because it's a very Big Ten, MAC, Ohio vibe here. Great place to shove, by the way. Putting Illinois here and shoving the Eagles out to Wichita or Omaha would make a lot more sense. But again, we don't tell people where to go. We're not travel agents. Men of Mackey is a 4 seed versus Fort Wayne champs. Now, you did not have the email to a spam filter. I did because I'm an idiot. So you got the free Puma stuff for Fort Wayne winning. I did not. No, but it's got to be a huge relief. And the reason we say that is Fort Wayne was the last team in last year. They were number 64. Fort Wayne now is guaranteed a spot. They're in because they were one of the teams that won. They beat the gods of semi-pro basketball in primetime champs in West Virginia. So Fort Wayne is firmly in the seed against Isaac Haas and a very good Metamaki team. That'd be a really fun first-round matchup with some real sizzle between the underdog and the Big Ten studs in Metamaki. So that's a game we should really enjoy.
Oh, yeah. Unfortunately, they had some injuries in that second game. They put up a really good fight in the first half and kind of fizzled. But, Garrett Fort Wayne's going to come out and have a really good team, better team than last year, healthy team. And that's going to be a great matchup, a good regional conversation between Purdue and Fort Wayne. So be a fun matchup.
Yeah, got it. And then the 3-6. Now, this is the lowest I think Carmen's Crew at a 3 has ever been seeded against 6 versus a Wolfblood. I don't have a lot of fight in this matchup. I will say Carmen's Crew playing in Dayton will probably have the crowd, obviously. And I think they'll probably make short work of Wolfblood. But what matchup would that give them, Charges, our last 2 teams in the field? Red Scare is a 2 seed as the host versus Ohio, the alum, Ohio 1804. The Ohio alums, the MAC team, is a 7. So this sets up a good first-round sweat, a little bit of a workout for Carmen's and Red Scare, but it does set up that heavyweight fight between Red Scare and Carmen's.
Yeah. And part of it, we don't know what Carmen's going to bring this year. I think their entire team retired at the end of last TBT. So I don't know what they're going to show up with. Obviously, they have a ton of talent. They've got they can pick up the phone and call Joey Lane from inside the TBT to suit up. And, so there's ways they can get this roster filled out somehow. And they're going to be good no matter what. So it's just, right now, it's just unexpected. I have no idea who's going to play for Carmen's Crew in this upcoming TBT until they get it rolling and see who's in, who's out, who's retired, and who's going to unretire. Who knows? But and then Red Scare and Ohio are both quality teams that should be good. Overlooked should be in too. I mean, that's the thing. That's one of these ones. They're a good squad, and I think if they get Kanan back this year, they have to slide in somewhere. He was supposed to play last year, did not. They lost that first round, and the region, they'll be in the mix, but they just had some tough runs the past 2 or 3 years. So you have to break the ice.
If Joey plays, Carmen Crew becomes the favorite.
I hear he don't miss. I've never seen him play, but yeah.
I want to know if Ott can actually cover Joey. Is what I want to know.
Is Ott playing this year, or coaching, or GM? And what are you doing?
I don't know what Ott's doing. Ott's in the chat. Ott's a lawyer now. I think he's either in law school or he's finishing up. Ott's going to defend me when I'm sued out of existence for one of my jobs. I think it's what's Okay, so that's the field. We've got the field for now. Now that's the field as of now. Now he's can Ott cover Joey Smoke? Ott says not a chance. so Joey's got him. So Ott says Joey. Okay, I want to see. This is a matchup I would like to see now. Actually, we can do that pay-per-view. We can maybe make $3.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
Okay, we can call it. It'll be fun. Okay, so the field. The 8 hosts right there, and you can see them in the field. You got the seed lines there, mostly high seeds. All will be wearing white on the first game. Then you add in the auto bids and accepted. Now you start to see these are the teams that are in as of today. And you can see, again, mostly high seeds. We have Cat 5 as the lowest seed, is a 7. That's just because of the absolute insane depth of Cincinnati. Like, that's just going to be a death regional. Otsa's saving it for signing day. Awesome. Okay. Now, these are the teams we think are locks or likely. We just combined them this time. So, like Brotherly Love, Primetime Players, About Balling. The money team is the biggest lock on the board of the 4 seed in Cincy. We are D3. These are teams that we think are either some level that are locks. The money team is a lock. Fort Worth Funk is a virtual lock. And teams that are close to locks, like D3 is pretty much going to make it. House of Pain is pretty much a lock. And teams that are likely, because the narrative, teams that we think can get in based on what they're doing. That basically also, that says that there's no room in Dayton or West Virginia at this point. Those are full. Those are full ins. Pending if these teams are able to run. So what ends up happening is you can see where there's room. There might be some room in the mystery region. There might be some room in New Mexico. So this shows you where we think the bubble is.
And there's still a buy into Xavier too, so someone can buy into Xavier, and that's going to squeeze people a little bit more. So you got 4 teams that are going to be buying. So you're from 12 bubble spots, and down to really 8 after the buy-ins. I'm assuming everyone's going to get bought out.
Yeah. So you see the teams here, and the teams that still are not great out are the teams that we have in, but these are the teams that might have some cause for concern. They're on the bubble. I feel pretty confident about well, if I'm being honest, I don't feel confident about any of these teams, to be honest with you. I mean, I think everybody that's on the bubble is a team that can't get bounced by a bye or can get bounced by another team. And that bubble's pretty high. You see the region, the overlooked. And I did kind of rank the bubble. So you can see the quality of the teams in the bubble as we go to that. We'll just bring up the whole board now. Where to go? So you can see the whole bubble, the region, the overlooked, Mental Toughness, Peoria All-Stars, Forces of Souls, HBCU, we're not sure they're running, Team DRC, the Hoopville Warriors. Those are all like the top of the bubble. Those are the teams that really are going to squeeze those 12 spots. The Georgia Kings were the former Beasley thing. Is the Beasley tournament going to run this year in a way that works? Are we going to hear again from Louisiana United? Is Hoops for LSF going to make it? Are the Brooklyn Vultures really willing to play anywhere? Because if so, there might be room in Rucker if Rucker does end up being where they have it. There's a lot of room. So we have a bunch of credible teams. It looks like we have about 31 credible bubble teams. So we're right now at about 30 bubble teams on top of 64. So we're around a 94 team board right now is where we're at. And of course, we also have the interlopers, the teams that we're always wondering if they're going to join. Overseas leads the gorilla in the room. If they ever come back, we think they're done. But until they don't run in 10 years, we're going to keep mentioning them because you don't win 4 titles and not get mentioned. The minute they put their hat back in the ring, they're a contender. Team CP3, some teams in there, some alumni teams. I thought Bluff City was going to make another run. It looks like they're not going to, which is a real bummer for me. Maybe next year. So that's kind of it, Charge. So what are we thinking? Like, what have we learned? Charge, what have we learned today?
What have we learned? I mean, we learned it's not easy to get into the TBT. I think everyone thinks, hey, let's get a team together. Let's throw our name in the hat, and we're going to get in because our guys are great. They're overseas pros, whatever the case might be. But, I mean, it takes a lot to build this up. It's not a one-year process. It's a multi-year process to build your brand, to get things moving in the right direction. But I think the thing we learned is there's just a lot of question marks out there too. So there, as much as we know, there's just as many unknowns. There's teams that are going to show up that we have no idea they're showing up until a few weeks before whatever that application deadline is. There's going to be probably a couple big alumni teams we don't know about that's going to throw their hat in the ring. The buy-in teams are going to jack things all up. The Haqqanis are going to show up again for all we know. So we don't know where this is going to lie, but the one thing we do know is it's just a very, very tight field, and we'll see where it goes. But it's exciting because TBT is really starting to speed up now with signing day coming up here on May 3rd. So our next kind of show is going to be that evening, and getting excited to see what signing day is all about. And I may change my opinion on Ott and team if they have some big signings that we have.
I absolutely love Ott is great. Ott says, I learned that I'm doing my first interview of Andrew and Joey on Inside the TBT, a 4-seed really. We don't want to be first. We just want to be first in your heart. You can interview with them, but you have to come see us as well. So trust me, we'll always love you, Ott. So definitely go do it with Joey and Andrew. They're awesome, but come by us too, and you can yell at us for our seating as per usual. Okay, so speaking of signing day, we've been kind of busy. Unfortunately, you and I both actually have full-time jobs, which sucks. We have busy clients and jackass clients and stuff. So we weren't able to be as involved last month, but we're ramping up. So when is our next show?
May 3rd. So I think I just said that. May 3rd, signing day. So we're going to get
signing day.
I think that's our next show, unless we slip something.
Yeah, let's do it.
In between, but May 3rd for sure. We're
going to May 3rd. We're going to be live 9 p.m. And we're going to do signing day. We're going to cover all the things we learned.
Where will Ja'Cory Williams end up? There's a lot of big names that are looking for new deals. So we'll see if Ott opens up the wallet a little bit more, locks down some big time players, or is he going to ride with the local guys, and which are strong as it is. So I can't wait to see what everyone brings to the table on signing day. So, and I've said this off camera that I do believe Ja'Cory is going to stay with the team. I heard that we have a lot of fun, but it looks like Ja'Cory really wants to has a lot of fun with Heard That, and obviously Heard That treats their guys right. So I can't imagine Ja'Cory's on the move, but we'll see. We'll leave the drama open and see on May 3rd where he goes, and Ott's going to come on to be an analyst. That would be awesome, breaking down all of the free agent signings of the day.
We'll send you a link, Ott. That'll be great. Okay, Charles, we went a little long today. We were having fun. So we'll get back in. It'll be a little shorter next week. We're going to talk about signing day. We'll see you May 3rd at 9 p.m. Charge, always a pleasure. Anything else to say?
Right. No, I'm
Let's
good.
bounce
Good. It's been fun.
Okay. It's been Zoom to TBT talking about bracketology. See you guys in a few days. Peace.
Hope you enjoyed listening to Zoom the TBT with Charge and Hayner. Subscribe to YouTube, follow on Twitter, and give us your money.